So at the moment, I'm thinking about psychiatry in a little bit of a different way than being trapped and needing to escape. I'm thinking about it in terms of being sort of a holding pattern for us to take time to figure out how to operate without a self, or in this quantum consciousness, because it's something we have to figure out by living it. And what happens is when we can't figure it out, there's fear, so we call for help, then we get funneled into psychiatry, and that is like us saying, well, I give up, I can't figure it out, so you tell me what this is all about. And then they say, well, it's a mental illness, and they have all these medical authority figures to tell us how to think about it. Hi, Mr. Caterpillar? Are you alive? What are you doing? You're so fuzzy. Come here. You don't want to get stepped on. There we go. Let's put you over here. Or maybe you were stepped on. Oh. Damn it. Poor caterpillar. Anyways, I'm saying is that it's up to us to figure it out. How to operate this quantum consciousness, which is something you can only do by living it day by day, moment by moment. And there's always another chance to figure it out as long as we're living. But figuring it out means no authority figures telling us how it works, but living in contact, in direct contact with the quantum reality. Psychiatrists aren't going to tell us about that, and even if they did, it's not the same as living it. So going to a psychiatrist and asking them how to interpret it and them giving us pills is a projection of us diverting our learning to being told. It's the same as the teacher-student relationship in elementary school and high school and everything. It's wanting somebody else to tell us how we work, how life works, not figuring it out by working with life moment to moment. So it takes a lot of energy to live intensely beyond the thought programs we've been given to interpret things. So it's a holding pattern, and we can decide at any time to start to understand our lives from scratch. Each day, each moment from scratch. That's what I'm challenged with right now. It's the disorienting discontinuity of things. But it's good to have things that I recognize around me, like parks and people that I know who sometimes feel like me too. And then if they are me, how would I treat them? If I treat myself really well, I have a better opportunity, better chance of treating them really well as well. And seeing how all of actuality arranges according to that. Gestures of health and wellness and love. This is me being really weird. Dun, 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 dun. There's my hair. Getting it back to the earth. Oh, look. It's like a little squirrel bored something here, too. Or that's a rock. I don't know. Thank you, Mother Earth, for the food. And in turn, I get some of you on me. Thank you. Now, with my little radio receiver DNA and hair proteins, maybe I can hear you stream all the time. Streaming life. And I didn't mention yet that last night I slept 10 or 11 hours. I did some coherence breathing, I did 20 minutes of muse, I did a little bit of the Himalayan acupressure mat, and then slept and slept and slept. So it feels like my brain needs the rest right now. It went through a big creative phase, and the creativity was creating this business thing. It wasn't around creating stuff to do with me. So in that way, I feel like that's part of what causes us to crash, is that we use a lot of the creative energy to build up a bigger me. But if we use creative energy to create in a non-self quantum way, then there isn't the same crash of the me, because we're not building up an illusion. We're creating something actual and creating with what the universe is asking of us, not what the me and our thoughts and our personal pleasure is asking of us. So there's that. So the crash hasn't been that much of a crash. It's like, okay, well, now I'm tired. It's doing a lot. My brain was doing a lot. And I also feel like I want to try to use the word oneself instead of I and myself, because it's confusing to say, well, there is no self, and then say self-dialogue and myself and all that. It's more like one self-dialogue or dialogue. I need to upgrade my languaging to be congruent with how I'm experiencing reality, with how oneself is moving through reality and creating with it. But at the same time, it could be good to speak ego-ish English to stay grounded in that reality as well. I need to be a wave as well as a particle for other particles' sake. And I'm not sure what else. I'm getting hungry. I'm going to go get some broccoli, make broccoli and Indian sauce. Feeling possibilities and not the self. The epiphenomenon of possibilities replaces the epiphenomenon of the self. By seeing possibilities, we can move more intelligently, because by virtue of our own vision, we can divert what we're doing away from division. I feel really sad when I see people and how their bodies have been misshapen by being pathologized, taking psychopharmaceuticals and gaining a lot of weight, and all the suffering, and seeing how psychiatrists participate in co-creating that. And as a psychiatrist furthers their career, they've basically transformed more and more people into mental patients, and the worsening of that, so people gaining weight and living in poverty and less able to take care of themselves over time in general. So as a psychiatrist gains wealth, gains health, gains stuff, gains all this material stuff, and has a family, they're creating all these people that are living as mental patients, overweight, going to die 25 years early. So their profession creates all of this sadness, and it's creating those people as that, and all that is going on as a result of that. And they're uplifted, meanwhile people are thrown in the garbage. And I don't think people do that intentionally. It's just part of what happens. Because they're paid and trained to listen in a certain way and do certain things to people that say certain things. I just read the article on ideas.ted.com, and it's Why We Should All Stop Saying I Know Exactly How You Feel by Celeste Headley. And the tidbit I got out of it is that they've done studies that show that it's harder to empathize the more comfortable we are. So if I'm having a good day and someone says bad news, I'm less likely to be able to fully empathize with how that person's feeling. So I was thinking about it in terms of how the universe sometimes makes me very uncomfortable and makes me feel like a homeless person so I can continue to empathize. And I have my comfortable life right now, it seems, but I can't forget that discomfort that so many people in the world are feeling. So I'm grateful for that, universe. Thank you for showing me